the last election, the figures are stark. There was a sort of crossover between our support and age. And frankly, what we didn't have at the last election was, I think, what we did have in 2015, which was that everybody was able to say, this is something the Conservative Party wants to do for me. If I'm older, they want to help me with this. If I'm younger or a student or a working mum or a new business person, we didn't have that retail offer that people were able to point to and say, this is why I'm going to vote Conservative. Well,
let's develop this critical voice of yours within the Conservative Party and focus in even more depth on this. Speaking to students at Loughborough College this morning, their view appeared to be that, not just that the Conservatives weren't giving them something to aspire to, they weren't listening to the concerns of younger voters. To what extent do you think that's true?
Well, look, as a local MP, I do a lot of engagement, obviously, with college students, with university students and with many others. But, of course, one MP listening, and I can see what they're saying, which is that, politics at the moment, particularly, I think, given the result of the referendum last year, where many young people did not support the direction of travel. So they are very frustrated. If we aren't listening, then that's clear we've got to do a lot better.
Yeah, but you've got Jeremy Corbyn talking about tuition fees. You've got Jeremy Corbyn talking about home building. I mean, where is the offer from the Conservatives at the moment to the demographic which you need if you're going to survive as a political party?
Well, see, I think that actually one of the things the Conservatives need to do much more is to explain. And obviously, the Conservative Party, one of our strongest elements of our reputation is how we manage the economy. And I was a Treasury Minister right back when George Osborne and others were engaged in turning the economy around. And we kind of make assumptions that when we talk about a strong economy, we talk about jobs and everything else, young people are going to know, and others are going to know exactly what we mean is in it for them. I think, actually, as a party, we've got to go much more back to first principles, explaining why the economy matters, why if you don't have people paying their taxes, you can't afford the public services that people want, why we want to create jobs, who creates jobs, that they don't just come out of thin air. And of course, you're right, housing is a big issue, both building more houses for people to buy, but also houses for people to rent. And we haven't really, as a party, talked much about rented accommodation. Well,
who's responsible for this? I mean, I'm going to suggest one name, Theresa May.
Well, look, the party, actually, in terms of policy formation, is lots of people are involved in all of that.
Yeah, she has to shoulder the ultimate responsibility, though.
Whoever is the leader has to shoulder the responsibility for the way the party is conducting itself, the policies that are put forward in a general election. And I don't think any Conservative can possibly say that the 2017 general election delivered the result that we wanted, nor that the manifesto landed in the way that obviously it was hoped that it was going to. So look, mistakes made. I think lessons are being learned in our conference. There's going to be a huge amount of soul searching on the campaign.
Where are those lessons being learned, particularly on the part of the Prime Minister? Speaking again to your constituents today, even those who are of the opinion that Brexit was the right choice feel that she is disconnected, feel that the general election removed a lot of the respect that they had for her.
Well, look, I mean, I can't pretend otherwise in the sense that the general election, the focus was put very much on, Theresa May as the leader of the Conservative Party. And despite the fact that we got more votes, we didn't get the number of seats we wanted to have a majority. So that clearly was not a successful campaign strategy. I think everybody recognises that. The question is going to be, actually, what do we do going forward? I think I was saying to somebody the other day that we've got to be a team now in government. It's about the cabinet being a team. I think people don't just want to see one person. They want to see the team. What's the team doing in terms of developing policies that speak to me as a voter?
Well, let's talk about Brexit. Are we getting it right at the negotiating table?
Well, look, clearly...
That was an awfully deep intake of breath there.
I mean, the answer's got to be we're not there yet. We haven't got, obviously, a negotiated settlement. I think there are elements, and I've been quite open about this. There are things that have been taken off the table. Single market and customs union were taken off the table very early, and we're now in a position of arguing about whether, in fact, they should be put back on the table or put back in some form. I do welcome the fact that over the summer the position papers imply that a transition period is on the cards, but I really hope that the Prime Minister will be explicit about that when she talks and gives this speech next week.
What's your view then, your personal view on the no-deal Brexit? Is no deal truly better than a bad deal?
Look, I don't agree with that. I think that I very much hope that the no-deal scenario does not come true. I think it would be really very, very difficult for our economy to survive that without it. There'll be a huge impact on our economy if we would have no deal, if we would have a sort of cliff edge. Those who say that it wouldn't be a problem are not listening to the voices of those who are exporters, who are employers, public services who rely on people coming from the EU to work here, and others. And also just add EU citizens. They are really, really worried about their status. I don't think they need to be. I think we could do more to clarify that. But I don't want to see people who have come here as taxpayers, as employees, who are giving a lot to this country to be worried about their status. So I think for all those reasons, again, I hope that the Prime Minister will make very clear that, and she has privately and she has publicly, she wants there to be a deal, and I think she's absolutely right.
Well, let's finish by talking about Theresa May. As you mentioned, you are now on the backbench. She's a position of great significance in terms of the Treasury Select Committee, of course, but you are rather more able to speak your mind. So who should replace Theresa May?
I'm not getting into speculation, because actually I think...
Okay, so who shouldn't replace Theresa May? That's an easier way of putting it.
All right. Well, I think I'm not going to get into names. I don't think it's helpful, because actually I don't think it's a debate we're going to be having for several more years. But the point goes back to, I represent a Midlands marginal seat. I represent the kind of seat that Conservatives need to hold if we're going to have a majority in government. And I think that a Conservative government is the best thing for this country. So whoever we have as leader has got to appeal to people in seats like mine, and in the seats that we lost this year and the seats that we didn't win.
Doesn't strike me that Jacob Rees-Mogg would go down particularly well on Marketplace.
Jacob's very welcome to visit Loughborough Market. I'm sure he would like the antiques market in particular. And let's see, maybe that's right. They'll come and do a beauty parade in Loughborough to see who's going to be the next leader.